I get asked all the time, what's the best mod kit? And the answer, for the third time in a row, is it's very subjective. I've started each of these comparison videos the exact same way because it's true. It's all up to you. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder, whatever that means. But when it comes to the GBC, in my opinion, it is so much more cut and dry. To me, there are really only 3 options you should consider, one of which I only recommend in a very specific use case. Let me explain. Let's first get familiar with the screen mods we're talking about today. Each of these will have a nickname that I'll put in the top right corner while I'm referencing them. This is the Q5, this is the 2.6, this is the V2, this is the drop-in, this is the TFT, this is the OLED, and this will be my OEM reference. And we're going to compare them all category by category, starting with compatibility. All of these mod kits are compatible with all GBC motherboards. So what I mean by compatibility is how many different shells can these kits work with. Almost all of these kits have their own specially trimmed shells. I honestly just recommend that you choose one of the shells that the AliExpress listing offers for the IPS kit you choose. You can choose pretty much any shell you want for the drop-in IPS kit, since it's meant to drop right into an OEM shell. But you can technically trim any shell you want to fit the screen that you choose. However, I do not recommend trimming for any of the laminated kits. There is a wide variety of shells made specifically for the Q5 display, and thankfully the OLED screen is the exact same size. So if the listing says laminated Q5, it will work great for the laminated Q5 IPS kits and the laminated AMOLED kits, like my beautiful black ice shell, which now has a clear shell variant, permafrost. My favorite part is that this one actually looks like the motherboard is frozen in ice. The original black ice design isn't going anywhere, but I explain everything in the second channel video I made showcasing the new permafrost shell. Please go check that video out over on Jake64, and don't forget to use code Jake to save 5% when you buy it from retromodding.com. There will of course be a direct link to the page in the description. But if that's not your style, there are plenty of other shells for the Q5 and Q10 displays, which as of recording, all the OLED kits are laminated. And to save my skin, if there is another OLED display in the future, I'm talking about the current Q10 display. I know it can be pretty confusing, so let me know if you want a dedicated GBC shell guide like I did for the GBA. But just how easy is it to install these mods? Almost all of these kits will require soldering or at least have an optional step to improve its max brightness level. So for that reason, the GBC can be thought of as one of the tougher mods, but all the soldering is fairly easy to do. You just have to be able to solder, and I know that's too much for some of you, and that's totally okay. If that is you, the newer Q5 revisions from Funny Playing don't require soldering, but the max brightness level will be pretty much cut in half if you don't solder. Otherwise, the drop-in and 2.6-inch displays are your only options if you want to go completely solderless. My only problem with those displays are their colors. With any IPS kit, or now OLED kits, pretty much all of those screens are going to look great compared to the original. I know it's a camera pointed at a screen, but here's what they all look like at as close to the same level of brightness as I can get. You can decide for yourself which one you like. To me, the Q5, the V2, and the OLED look the best, but I know some of you weirdos like the less saturated look of the TFT screens. The drop-in kit isn't as saturated as the rest either, and in my opinion, the 2.6-inch just looks the worst. There is a desaturated version of the Q5 display in a kit from High Speed Edo, but I'm just not interested in looking at it. If you really want me to take a look at the desaturated kit, let me know in those comments down below and try to change my mind. With the exception of the V2, each of these kits has some sort of grid line options, and only the Q5 and OLED kits have frame blending options with their most recent revisions. More important to me though is brightness. Most of these kits have a good range of brightness levels, but you don't adjust them all the same way. Believe it or not, the OLED kit has a touch screen. You can touch and hold the center of the screen to bring up the menu, and you can swipe up and down and tap the arrows to adjust different things within the menu. The Q5 kits have menus you can open and navigate with Start, Select, and the touchpad. The V2 oddly uses A, B, and Select to adjust brightness levels, and does not have a menu. It works exactly like the V2 GBA kits. It's weird. However, the 2.6-inch and drop-in are only adjustable by their touchpad. There is no optional soldering with those, so it's touchpads or nothing. But how bright do these get? the Q5 and OLED screens are gonna be the best outside. But maybe you're the type to play at night before bed and don't want to annoy your partner. Well, this room is pitch black and these are all at their lowest brightness level. But how long is the battery life at the high and low brightness levels? This time we are doing things a little bit differently. I tested all of these on the Pokemon Gold start screen. Here is the power draw for all of the kit's lowest brightnesses, and here is the power draw at all of the kit's highest brightnesses. And while these numbers are all important, we should look at the power draw numbers at equal brightnesses. So here's how much power each kit draws at an equal brightness level. Well, as close as I can get to an equal brightness level amongst all of them. But since we have an OLED kit in this group, I want to show you the difference in numbers when we do the darker Pokemon Crystal start screen. That's because while the OLED numbers are about the same as the Q5 in brighter scenes, the OLED power draw drops off in darker scenes, and all the IPS kits draw exactly the same. So if you play a game with a solid black background, or play original Game Boy games in black and white, you should have an even better battery life with an OLED kit. And that's freaking awesome. Once again, I decided not to do the stopwatch testing that I did for the GBA comparison. It's just a big waste of time since everybody uses different batteries anyways. So instead, you can do the math with all the numbers I've shown you, or you can just plug those numbers into this website right here and it'll do it for you. I'll have that link down below. But let's just answer the question, which kit is the best? You decide. Seriously, what's the point of me laying out all this information for the third time in a row if I'm just gonna tell you the freaking answer that I think? I said it at the beginning. I've said at the beginning of all of these videos, it is entirely subjective. Think about your play style. Do you play outdoors a lot? Are your lights really bright? Do you like to play at night? Does your wife get pissed off that you're playing Tetris before bed? Do you play 3 or 4 hours a day, every day of the same game? Do you just play it once in a blue moon and you just want a solid all-around kit? Do you want to use your original shell and not have to buy anything extra? Do you want to use the super cool Black Ice GBC shell that I made? Or the new variant of Black Ice, Permafrost? All those things you need to take into consideration before you buy it. And that's what the point of this video is to help you make a better decision so there's no regret. I don't want you to have buyer's remorse. The only thing I would like to say is if you are really considering the OLED kit, go watch the video where I talked about OLED burn-in after 3 months of having it on constantly. And not to spoil that video because I do think you should go watch it. If you play a lot, like a lot of Game Boy Color, and this is your only Game Boy, and you're only pretty much playing the same game and there's a lot of static elements, the OLED kit may not be for you. But if you go watch that video, you will have a good idea if that kit is the right kit for you. It's a pretty good deep dive, so go watch it and give it a like. And of course, if this is all just too confusing for you or you don't want to put in the effort to do it yourself, you can always just buy a pre-modded one from me at my website, retroremaster.com. I have so many different designs and colors coming in and out of my store, and I do all the models of Game Boy. So go check out my website and the link in the description down below. Thank you very much. But I would like to make some stuff very clear. If you already have an IPS kit, I don't think any of these have enough of a reason to upgrade between. While not completely equal, all of the IPS kits are going to be a huge improvement over the original visually, and I think you'll be happy with any of them. Even though I love my OLED and I highly recommend it to most people, if you already have one, you should stick with the IPS kit you already have. It's great. I promise. No matter what kit you end up choosing, you can save some money with code Jake at Retromodding and Retro Game Repair Shop. I'll have links to them as well as links to a European website and AliExpress so you can find the best place for you to buy it. And pretty much all the links are affiliate links, so disclaimer, blah, 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 whatever. I'm legally sound. And when you are ready to do the mod you choose, I already have tutorials for all of them ready to go. Just for you, except for the desaturated kit. We'll see about that. Let me know which kit you choose in those comments down below. And tell us why in that comment, because there might still be some people who can't decide, even after this entire video has been laid out for them. As for the kits that will inevitably come in the future, I will compare them to everything we discussed in this video in their own future reviews. So you'll hear me reference this video a lot going forward, which is completely fair because I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Time, effort, and money into making these videos to make it the ultimate GBC screen mod comparison. I can't say IPS kit anymore because the OLED kit, and I guess I did briefly talk about the TFT kit. You just shouldn't get a TFT kit. I don't normally ask for likes, but a like would be greatly appreciated if you found this video helpful. And of course, subscribing if you're new around here. We're so close to 1 billion subscribers, so a subscription would be helpful. I think that's about it. So like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later, guys. I always edit it to have a better snap by doing this. And I just edit the best sounding snap over the original snap. Because when I snap up here, you guys can't hear it. It doesn't pick up that well on the mic. Or I guess I do. So it's like away from the mic. So it's like really, let's just end the video.